Hi everybody, welcome back to our Tinkercad lessons. So in our last lesson we made this name tag over here, and what we're going to have a go at doing today by creating a new design is we're going to have a go at making a spinning top, or something that might be a similar kind of concept to competitive battling Beyblade kind of thing that some of the grade 3-4s have been into recently. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the shapes off to the right hand side to start gathering some things that I think would make interesting shapes for basically a spinning top. Now it has to have a point on the bottom for it to spin on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the cone from the far side to start, and at the moment it's pointing up. I need to turn it around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the well, first of all I'm going to click on the shape. I'm going to grab the kind of directional arrows, and I'm going to turn it around 180 degrees. So that has to be exactly 180. Now at the moment if I use that shape, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to have to do is, if I click on there, I can actually type in 180 and it's going to flip the whole shape over for me. What I'm then going to do is I'm then going to actually make it quite a lot shorter. So I only really need the pointy part of my shape to be about 1 centimeter high. So 9 mils, 10 mils, that would be fine. And I'm going to just sort of skinny that all down a bit. I have to make sure that it's the same across as it is wide, so 6 millimeters wide and 6 millimeters high. That's fine. If I end up forgetting about that, then I'm going to end up with a shape that's long and thin, and then it's not going to spin very well when I actually put it on the table and spin it. So it has to be about the same dimensions across and high. So that's a pretty good place to start. I'm going to skinny that down just a bit in height. Right, so everything else I build now on top of that I'm going to use from these shapes over here. The next thing I'm going to have is a half sphere. Again, I need to flip it over, so I'm going to click just there, type in 180, which is going to flip my whole shape upside down, and I'm going to lift it up in the air a little bit and push it over here. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about the exact alignment of it yet. That's not important. I can work that out a bit later on. But remember to lift shapes up or down your sort of stack of shapes by using this black cone here at the top. So I'm just going to drop that down a bit. I'm quite happy with how that's going to be there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to use a star. Okay, so I can choose how many points I want my star to have, from loads and loads to just 3. I'm actually going to choose mine to have 6, and if I want to, I can type 6 in there or 10 in there or whatever I want to have. Now it's possibly a bit big for what I want to use it for, so I'm just going to make sure again that it's the same across here and it is up there. So that'll be about right. I'm just going to roughly line it up. I'm not too worried again about actually aligning that. I will show you how to do that properly in a minute. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip that over as well, and then I'm going to push it down a bit into my shape. Oops, push that into my shape a bit. Now I'm just going to check that actually doesn't look quite right. It looks like it's, yeah, I need to, even though my dimensions said it was right, it didn't look right. So you have to keep changing the view to help make sure that you actually got what you wanted to have. The next thing I'm going to have is a torus. Okay, so like we sometimes call it a ring. I'm going to give it lots of sides to make it a nice smooth star shape. I'm going to put it in my stack, and then I'm going to lift it up to kind of give my shape a bit of volume. Just again roughly, it's not critical at the moment. And if I click over here where I've got my bit where it says basic shapes, there's all sorts of other sections. I mean, like if I was doing a project with dinosaurs or skeletons or something else, I could use that. The one I'm going to go to now is in the shape generators. I'm going to click on all, and if I go through some of these shapes, obviously there's different ways of doing text. different shapes and things. I'm going to use some of these because just like Beyblades, you know how they have the pointy bits that stick out so that they catch and make good contact with other Beyblades. I'm going to do the same. So you've got to have something that sticks out. If it's really smooth on the outside, then it's not going to actually catch on to anything else. On this, see, I have my star with 6 sides. I'm going to make my gear shape have 8, I think 8 bits, but I'm going to actually change the height, so I'm just going to drop it down a bit, but this time I'm going to make it quite wide. So if I kind of pick 25 by 25, okay, and then raise it up in my stack. Okay, oops, whoa. Changing the angle of the view would definitely have helped me there. Okay, remember, just roughly, but I've got to make sure that it's dropped down far enough. Okay, and then I'm going to borrow this shape because I'm going to use that one, I think, in a minute. I've got an idea for that one, and I'm going to go back to the basic shapes, and I'm going to use the diamond. Okay, so I'm going to pretty much finish off with the diamond on top. Again, I'm going to flip it over. Oh, that's not quite 180, so I have to make sure I type in 180, otherwise it's going to be wonky donkey. And I'm just going to sit that on top, just roughly for now. This is going to be the handle, so I'm going to skinny that right down. So I want my handle to probably be, it's going to be something that I can actually grab a hold of. So maybe 7mm wide and possibly 7mm thick, so it's actually, you can physically grab it with your fingertips. And again, now what I'm going to do, because this is going to be incredibly top heavy at the moment, actually I'm going to make some of these bits here, make that a bit lower. I'm going to make some of these bits a bit wider because proportionally at the moment my handle is quite thick compared to the rest of these shapes. So I'm just going to do a bit of editing of the sizes, so I might speed up this part of the video just while I edit things, so bear with me, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I'm back. I've made some adjustments of the sizes there, as I said I was going to, and what I might actually do, I might have something spiky at the bottom here to see if I can catch a few extra bits on somebody else's Beyblade. So I'm going to use a 5-pointed star. I'm just going to make it really thin and put that in my stack as well. Okay, oops, undo, and I'm going to just lift that up. There we go. I think that's going to look really cool. Alright, so what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to select everything, and if I change my view slightly, you'll see that not everything is lined up properly. Okay, it's going to probably tip over because it's not all balanced. So what I can do is if I select everything, then click this button up here, which is align, I can automatically align all of my shapes together by clicking that button in the middle there and this button in the middle here. Now that is essentially going to be a balanced Beyblade. Okay, so this piece, this grey piece at the top here, that's what you hold on to with your fingers. You spin it around, somebody else spins theirs, and they come together, they clash together, and obviously the first one that stops is out. So it's not just having these pointy bits to catch on to somebody else's. Try and make it look good too. Try and think about the aesthetics of it all. It's got to have a point on the bottom, otherwise it's not going to spin. Try to make it so that it's not too tall and it's not too wide. What I'm going to do now is I'm now just going to select all of mine. I'm going to group it all together, so it's going to turn all of it the same colour, and you'll get the overall kind of effect of mine. Actually, I don't like the colour. I'm going to change it to green. Okay. And what I can do is I can sort of test to see how big my spinner is going to be. So in total, my spinner is going to be 4 centimeters high, and it's going to be about 4 centimeters wide by 4 centimeters long. Now those dimensions, when we look, that dimension and that dimension are actually different, and that's because of the fact that when it measures across the star, any odd pointed shape like the 5-pointed star, it measures across the points on one side and then across the flat sides on the other. So don't worry too much about it. They have to be as close as you can get them, because if it's like this, it's not going to spin properly at all. So it needs to be as close as you can make it, okay, within reason. So something like that is your project, and it'd be really awesome to get some of them sent to me and I can print them off for you, and then we can have a go at testing them when we're all back at school. So to send them to me, what you would need to do is hang on, looking at that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so I actually just finished playing around with mine. I've changed some of the shapes and I've added a few shapes to try and make sure that all of my shapes that I've got on there are actually even numbered points or even numbered sizes. It means that when you use the align tool, this tool that's up here, okay, it means it actually aligns correctly. So now when I look from below, it looks correct. So here's a bit of a 3D view. I think it looks better too. It's cool with the that sort of donut, the torus that sticks out in light blue there. Okay, and then there's the pointy star with even number of points, and then the orange kind of gear shape that's got an even number of points. Okay, one for each, like they've lined it up so that each of these lines up with one of the corners of my diamond that I put on there, and I think that's looking pretty good, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna finish just there. Okay, so to send me your model so that I can print them off and we can test them out, if you make sure you give it a name, you have to give it a name first. So I'm going to call mine Mr. P's Spinner. Okay, and then I'm going to click on Export. So it's this button up here. It says Download and 3D Print. I'm going to click on that, and you then need to click on STL, and it's going to download the STL file. Now that's a special file that prints on the 3D printer. So when you do that, it's going to download an STL file onto your computer, which then you can add. So here's mine downloading. You can then add that file to your email as part of an attachment. Now at the end of term 1, we were having a bit of a look at sending an email with an attachment. If you need help with that, then just send me an email and I will explain how to do it. But otherwise, get somebody at home, maybe a parent, to help you use the paperclip icon on the email page, find that file and send it to me. Make sure you're giving it a name, because then I'll know who it's from when I print it. I'll print some of them. Please tell me what color you'd like it. Your choices are green, blue, yellow, orange or red. I can't do anything like purple. I don't have that color. So let me know what you'd like. I'll print a few of them off and see how they go. Enjoy.